the particular process was completely manual. But nowadays, thanks to the improvement of qualitative studies, we have a large number of very good softwares like I know Atlas TI, I personally use it, or Max QDA, which are quite capable and able of extracting the particular content and analyze it and make a particular design with that. As content analysis usually go with the more with the kind of qualitative study, so we are very accustomed of using the terms like codes, labels, categories for the kind of content analysis. Over here, what, because I am telling it, it is a hybrid method, we shall start content analysis not with any software. We start it with certain kind of manual interface. Then once we organize the data sources, then we shall use a particular segment of SPSS and basically analyze the same to develop a presentable result. That is the objective. It is very simple, it is very short, and the method is neither unique or not developed by us. It was, this process itself is embedded inside SPSS. We only used the particular process for a completely different purpose. That's all. With this introduction, let's start the presentation over there. I hope my screen is visible. The screen is visible,
yes,
no?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So, content analysis, as I have said, the content analysis is a systematic research method to analyze an interface from the various kind of storages. These storages may include, include documents. It may include the audio interviews or video interviews, discussions, or the various kind of recordings of the focus groups, which is a typical method in qualitative studies, videos, etc. Right. So once we start mining the data from the particular sources, then after that we categorize, compare, and contrast this corpus of data. That is the fundamentals of the content analysis. So as I have basically already mentioned, so content analysis is basically we can identify the important phenomena. We can identify the kind of important variables. We can identify the significant issues related to certain phenomena, analyzing the content of anything. Right. But in this case, we have basically tried to develop the elements of the purchase behavior of unorganized rural retailers. Let me give you a very small background. If you visit any village, okay, remote kind of thing, in any village you will sort of find the type of very small shop. Maybe it is not a permanent structure, it is a temporary structure made of bamboos and the other things. A very small assortment of amounts are kept over there. Maybe along with they sell, it is also operate as a tea shops and anything. Their capital is very small, and their turnover, business turnover, as a result, is very small. These entities across the India, whether you travel Maharashtra or Punjab or Himachal Pradesh or West Bengal or Odisha, wherever you go, in any remote village, small village, you will find a shop of this kind. They, even in case of large villages, you will find a handful only. They are not large in number. Such shops are basically rural retailing units. They are run by the individual. The entity is called the rural retailer. It is true, as an individual, as an isolated entity, this rural retailer is a very kind of insignificant thing in our research uh, canvas. But look at the total number of villages across India and then multiply them by the small turnover, maybe 5,000 per month, by the number of shops. Actually, we are talking into billions. These small shops make a considerable contribution to our GDP of the nation. So they are, in economics, they are very important entity. The second of their importance is that we are continuously talking about the employment generation. But you see, employment generation in a structured manner has its own limitation. But when we are talking about self-employment generation in village, what are the scopes? There is no concept of self-employment employment other than engaging oneself into the agricultural farm-based activities. Rural retailing gives a completely different kind of opportunity for generating employment, because it is a definite and proved source of employment, and rural retailing is existing in India over a more than 100 or 150 years. In fact, in another of my study, I have basically found out the elements of rural retailing from 100 years of Bengali literature, and I traced back to a period of 1884 in the evidence of rural retailing in a literature in a very famous novel of Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, that is the Devi Chodharan. The evidence of rural retailing is there. So rural retailers are important. I am not going into this. More important is the purchased behavior of these rural retailers. When we talk about the behavior, we often talk about the consumption behavior. And for that, we have developed a completely new branch of study called consumer behavior. I agree, what consumers think, they will consume. And that is why their behavior is important. If you look at the advertisements, sales promotions, at the different type of media, most importantly nowadays in television and in mobile, you will find all these sales promotion activities and advertisements are targeted towards the consumers. But go to the village, you will find the consumers can have their own tastes and preferences, but the consumption is mostly regulated by these rural retailers, because most importantly, these rural retailers don't have a large amount of capital, so they cannot store the brands of a particular product from every company. So you go to an urban shop, you will find this particular urban shop is storing only I say 5 to 6 varieties of wheat flour, okay, atta, or 4 to 5 varieties of edible oil, 10 varieties of bathing soap, 15 varieties of shampoo. That is not possible in case of a rural retailer. They either store a very small handful number of brands for a product or a single brand only. As a result, what happens is that they command and dictate the choice of the consumers on that particular village. One rural retailer means the consumption of at least 50 villagers or 50 village rural consumers. And because these rural retailer cannot store large number of brands, they what particular brand of a particular product they will store is very important. Hence, that is their purchase behavior. So why and how they will store these brands, that becomes very important, not only for the multinational companies who produce, manufacture, and market this brand, but also for the economical purpose. So for that, we basically wanted to identify that what constitutes this purchase behavior, what may be the determinants of the purchase behavior. And for this particular exploration, we went for the three kind of sources. Two types of sources, they were completely original and empirical in nature. And the third source, that is this source, is basically from the extant literature. That means over here, we wanted to identify all the kind of research works related to the rural unorganized retailers and wanted to identify the important elements of the purchase behavior from them. The other two sources were basically we took interview of the a large number of marketers, marketing professionals who used to go to the rural areas to sell the product of their companies or products of their company. For example, in case of Hindustan Unilever, they have the array of products. They enter into the village with Surf Excel, Sunlight, the toothpaste, forgot the brand of the Hindustan Unilever, probably Close Up. Toothpaste, Lux, soap, toilet soap, shampoo, Sunsilk, all these things. Again, there are, there are companies who go with a single product, okay, to sell it. These are the, the general picture in case of the companies. So it is very important for them to understand and identify what constitute the purchase behavior of the rural and unorganized retailers. Let us come back to the method design of the research to establish that this is not a kind of new kind of style that we are using. In case of the evolution of the management concept, that has been basically very lucidly done by Vakari in 1993. Zarvanil and Vakari in 1993. So they basically use the temporal method of content analysis, although not the categorical principal component analysis shown by the SPSS, but it is a statistical method to trace the evolution of the management concept. They basically use the same kind of style. Okay. So in the content analysis, in our content analysis, this is the basically steps we have done. We identified the data sources, right? Step one. We developed various classifications. Categories are basically for qualitative study. I have incorporated the term categories because a lot of people used to do content analysis. They are comfortable with the term category. So otherwise, it is a general, classification, these determinants. Then we identify the codes that is in qualitative study. In case of this quantitative, from this point we will shift to the quantitative methods. So instead of codes, we have developed the frequencies. Now we then finally go for the assessing reliability, which comes directly from the Cronbach alpha, and analyze the results. Okay. I will basically apologize for one thing, that my SPSS basically in my laptop that has expired. Okay, this personal SPSSs, they have a very short span of life. So what I have done is that I went to my college laboratory and basically analyzed the whole thing, and then took the screenshots to give it. So I cannot show you in hand, but okay, the screenshots will explain the basic things, because each step I have taken a screenshot and put it in this PowerPoint presentation. Also, there is another reason. When I run SPSS automatically in my laptop, what happens is that it is not properly visible to the viewers, to the audience. But taking a screenshot and increasing the resolution gives a more or less clarified picture. But if you have any question, you may ask me. I will give the answer regarding that. Okay. So the process of CAT-PCA is the procedure that simultaneously quantifies the categorical variables while reducing the dimensionality of the data. So it has got twofold purpose. One, it definitely reduces the dimensionality of the data as proposed by SPSS, and it also quantifies the categorical variables. Okay. It is the categorical principal component analysis. The basic acronym is CAT-PCA. So we will basically now directly go into the steps of the CAT-PCA. We have, in this case, we have identified 33 literature sources, right? And through the random citation search, these random citation search will basically include the words rural, retailer, India, unorganized. Okay. So then all these determinants of the purchase behavior of the rural organized retailers were grouped into 14 categories. Considered as the similarities of meaning. This has been done manually. Then the frequencies of the occurrences of each category has been tabulated. That has also been done manually. And finally, after that, we have run the principal component analysis, fitting the data into SPSS. We have run the principal component analysis and basically explained the results. That is, in a nutshell, that is the whole process. So 33 literature sources identified. Okay. So basically, from what we have started is that, let me explain it. First, we have gone for the some basic databases of journals. We have consulted Scopus, we have of Elsevier, we have consulted Web of Science, and there is another big repository that is a little bit delayed, but it produces a good result, that is JSTOR. Okay, over here we have incorporated these such words as rural retailers, unorganized retailers in India, like this. Okay, and we identified from the number of journals list we have got from all these three sources, we identified 10 important journals. All of them will be there, of course, over here. 10 important journals which incorporated almost all the terms, like unorganized rural retailers in India, rural retailers in India, like this. Okay, so from these 10 journals, okay, we directly went to their reference list. From the reference list, we again introduced the same process. Now manually we identified several journals whose title includes the word unorganized retailers, rural unorganized retailers, rural retailers in India, like this. Okay, from the 10 journals, we developed a repository almost of on and around 100 plus journals. Like going through this, I mean, going to the reference list, identify the name of the journals, consult all these identified journals, and if on the reference list we find another set of a few names, we incorporate it. In this manner, we developed around total repository of 133, I think, 30, I think, 130 journal list. From this 130 journals, all of them, they basically involve all these kind of things, but it is not possible to undertake a complete, thorough, and precise analysis with the help of the 130. So we have to reduce. So we basically took 33 literature sources by random sampling method. That means we assigned numbers to the particular journals and then ran random number tables. The particular numbers that has been generated, those journals were only selected. In this manner, we have selected 33 literature sources. All these 33 literature sources basically finally mentions the determinants of the purchase behavior of the rural unorganized retailers. We identified these determinants and grouped them into 14 categories. We shall, how we have basically categorized them, we shall basically show you in the slides. But the example, for an example, a statement is like there in the journal. It is essential that the rural visits are made to retailers. Once they are assured continuous supply, they will themselves promote the brand. This is a, line, quote unquote, taken from MD Balkrishnan, who has published a very important paper on rural marketing, myth and reality, in a very, important, it is a journal, but people basically most of the time say it is a magazine, Economic and Political Weekly. Okay, in 1973, August week 2. This was a straight line. So if you look at this, a very important element is that associated with the retailer is the regular visits. So naturally, regular visits is the phrase is picked up as an important determinant. I have already basically described this method. So the other phrases that has been included as developing nations, rural marketing, retailer, shop, outlets like this. There are lots of synonyms. And that is why one thing is that instead of going for this kind of analysis for the softwares, I prefer certain manual things, because in English language, variety of words are tremendous. Once I was teaching, and while teaching, I found the word round. And then that was the drill of that particular workshop, is that let us find the different meanings of round. And believe me or not, our workshop students, they picked up 110 different meanings of round. The word round only. So let us come back to it. So instead of going into this, finding out exhaustively all these words and put them into synonymous words and put them into your repository, it is much better you read between the lines and identify. When you see a word, you can immediately associate it, whether it is related to the rural retailer or not, or retailer or not. Okay, that is much better. Right. So they have been classified according to the phrases that I will show in the next slide. That is, this is the literature, source of literature that is used for our content analysis. You will find that once these 33 literature sources were selected, we basically categorized them into 3 periods, and very interestingly, they more or less, come out as more or less homogeneous. Though, if you mind, the period is not at all homogeneous. You will find that there are difference in periods. From 1973 to 1994, that is a period of almost 21 years, we found only 10 sources. From 95 to 2010, that is a period of 15 years. So 21 years, basically dropped into 15 years. And this in second phase, this 15 years, we found 11 sources. That means if you look at only this slide, you will find that the interest in rural retailing, the research, interest in research in rural retailing, that is slowly increasing. And then go to the 2011 to 2014. Within a period of 3 years only, we identified 12 sources. So this is a period, and progressively the very high frequency basically observed. Okay, we are still conducting this research period of time, and from 15 to 2020, not 2020 actually, end of 2019. After that, we have not basically progressed much. In the last year, so in management research circuit, it is basically predominated publications are on COVID-19 effects and all that. So within this period of 15 to 19, that is, let's say 5 years, we have found out more than 20 sources altogether. So you see, the more days are progressing, the interest in the rural research is also increasing. Not to mention the fact we have contributed several papers on rural retailing during this period. All of them are, of course, included. Ah. So, uh, is my screen properly visible?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So if you see on the left big table, there are 33 literature sources. Okay. Starts with 1973, Rao, Rural Marketing of Consumer Products, Economic and Political Weekly. 1978, The Village Entrepreneur, Change Agent in India's Rural Development, published from Cambridge. Brohel, Balakrishnan paper I have already mentioned. Like this, it is continuing. It ended actually in a paper 2014 Bhattacharya, Distribution Management, Paradigm and Channel Behavior Dimension of Rural Retailers, an empirical study in rural Assam. It is published in the Scholars Work. Right. These 33 literature sources with clear manual reading, repeated reading and identification produces on an hour 14 determinants. Okay, these determinants are given over here: regular and frequent service, doorstep delivery, credit, information and training need, margin and commission, discounts, prevention of undercutting, high demands of products and brands, viability, local distributor, quantity discount schemes, local company staff, banking support, high quality brands. These 14 determinants have been clearly identified, and I have basically arranged these determinants on the basis of decreasing frequencies. The most frequently emerged is the regular and frequent service. Okay, doorstep delivery, credit, margin and commission, discounts, like this. In this context, let me share a very interesting story. So while once we identified these determinants, and on the basis of the determinants, we developed a model of the purchase behavior and conducted an empirical survey. And once we conducted the empirical survey, then again went for these data reduction techniques, not this time not by the CAC-TCA, but by the general principal component analysis. And discount emerged as an important factor. Out of the 500 rural retailers chosen across the southern part of, discount emerged as the most important. Right. So once we wrote this paper and sent it to the journal, the first reviewer's comment was that we agree that discount is the most important factor. But tell me when it was not. It is evident. Discount is such a thing even in case of a consumer, or even in case of the, except of a handful of few, most of the people are attracted by the discounts. So if you find two same type of products, one is offering more discount than the others, not to mention the fact over here they are not the user of the product, they are only the seller of the product. So the small difference in quality will not matter to them. So while they are not, this is very evident. It does not require a research work to say or to establish this is an important factor. You please eliminate this because it is evident. Sun rises in the east, you basically go for research to establish sun rises in the east. So what we have done is that we dropped this discount factor, although it was the most important factor in utilization. In case of our discussion, we incorporated this fact, yes, discount will automatically emerge as the important factor. That means, otherwise what will happen if we publish that research report, the companies will be misguided. Companies will think that, okay, discount is not an important factor. Discount is, but this does not require research. Along with discount, now you go for the other kind of important determinant factors. So these 14 factors has been identified from 33 literature sources, and they have been arranged as per their frequencies. This is the clear history. I have already described it, but it was not properly visible over there. So we have basically arranged this. Clear? Any question up to this point? Or I should proceed? Thank you. That means there is no question. So once I identify how we have done it, the process should be given, although the process was manual. Basically, all these 14 determinants has been arranged like this. Case number, doorstep delivery, regular service, discount, margin, quantity discount schemes, etc. and etc. And the case numbers are given as 1, 2, 3, like all the 33 literature sources. Okay. So the first literature source, let us go to the other. Say this the first literature source was RAO, Rural Marketing of Consumer Products. Okay. Now come back. So in case of RAOs, which if you have that particular determinants present mentioned in the paper, then you put 1. If you don't have that particular determinant present in your paper, then put 0. So in this manner, doorstep delivery is 1, regular service is 1, the others are kept blank. You can put zeros over there. That means in Rao's paper, these two were important. Okay. So 1 stands for presence, 0 stands for absence. So this is how we have basically given this all these kind of variables and how they have been put. 1, zeros I have not been put deliberately because a more excess of number will ultimately confuse you. In case of ours, we do it in Excel, so Excel automatically reads that. I don't have any kind of obligation to consider zeros or not. They consider it automatically. But in when we visualize it, blank cells means 0, that is 7. So in case of Rao, it is only banking. In case of Brohel, it is the discount, margin, all these things, variability, viability, and the local distributor. In case of 3, you see, the 3 was basically Balakrishnan that I was talking about. This is case number 3. Okay, come back. So in case number Balakrishnan, you see, it has mentioned only 2 factors, doorstep delivery and regular services. Okay. These 17 sources and 18 to 33 is basically given over here. This is another very important thing. In terms of paper, you can also identify the papers which are more oriented towards the identification of the determinants. For example, in case of how you see, it has identified only a single determinant, and that is a very kind of abbreviated factor called banking support. On the other hand, if you come back to this number, case number 10, that is Kilaru, study behavior rural market. Okay, there are 5 determinants present. If you go back forward, source number 33, Bhattacharya, basically out 7 determinants. Source number 30, Dasim and Muroli, is basically is talking about 6 determinants. So you can also identify journals which are progressively becoming important for identifying the sources if you arrange the data in this manner. So this is how the data has been arranged. The sources of each determinant, that means suppose you have a source, you have a determinant called doorstep delivery. In how many literature this doorstep delivery has been reflected? Let us see from over here. Say this is doorstep delivery, right? This is doorstep delivery. This is doorstep delivery. So number 3, number 4, number 5 case number actually. Case number 7, case number 8, case number 9, case number 10, case number 13 in this page, and case number 18, case number 22, like this. All these papers are basically identified doorstep delivery as an determinant in their research work. So those papers that has been clearly identified. So doorstep delivery is basically manifested in these papers. Regular service has been manifested in these papers. discounts have been manifested in these papers, margin and commission has been, and in how many papers a particular factor and determinant has been reflected, that also signifies the importance of that particular determinant. Right? For example, regular service appear to be a very important factor for most of these research works. That means it is definitely a very important factor. Right? On the other hand, if you come to the viability, you will find only 1 and 2. Two papers basically mentioned the concept of viability, and that is also is not directly related to retailing. They are related to rural and agricultural marketing directly. Okay. Again, you see, local distributor is basically has only emerged in 2 papers. But when we have done empirically, particularly Indian context, local retailers basically emerged as a very important factor, in particularly in our country. I am telling you my experience of one particular villager we were talking with. I mean, rural retailer we were talking with. His quote and unquote. I am sorry for the students who are not I mean comfortable with Bengali or don't understand Bengali. I will definitely translate the whole thing into English, but the conversation has its essence of rural Bengal. So I am for Bengal, Bengali, I mean dialect. I asked them, I asked him, so কার কাছ থেকে মাল নেওয়া পছন্দ করো? হ্যাঁ, বলে এই শহরের যারা বাবুরা আছে না, শহরের বাবুদের বুলি আমাদের পছন্দ হয় না। এই যে আমার গায়ের ছেলে, আমার লোকাল, আমার কাছাকাছি যারা থাকে, তারা যা মালই নিয়ে আসুক না কেন, আমি তাদের থেকে আগে মাল নিই। This preference on region and a mistrust on particular urbanity. I mean, in English, I asked the particular rural retailer from whom you prefer to take your products, your goods, your supply. So the particular rural retailer answered me, I don't trust the smart guys coming from city. They talk too much, they talk in a very smart manner and try to misguide me. On the other hand, I am more comfortable with my local boys who speak in my language, who speak in my tone, and will never misguide me in a particular matter. They don't make false promises. So I trust them completely. So this particular regional factor on distribution, that is a completely new thing emerging. And you think about the multinational companies, for example, which basically practices, I mean, heavy duty rural marketing. For example, Hindustan Unilever, for example, ITC, apart from the cigarettes. So naturally, when these companies used to go to the rural market, whether it is in rural Bengal or whether it is in rural UP, they must understand this factor. So if they send a city guy over there, right, that can be a potential disaster. The competitor may snatch the market. These things automatically emerges from even from the literature. Okay, so this is local distributor, local company stuff, banking, so all these 14 factors you will see. As per, this was the which determinant from how many sources. Now, how many sources, which source basically produces how many determinants. For example, source number 1, that is the case 1, produces only single determinant. On the other hand, if you come to this 10, again, the Kilaru paper, the study of the retailer behavior in rural market, a very appropriate title also. Doorstep delivery, discounts, margin and commission, information and training need, prevention of undercutting. So many factors have emerged. Okay. Similarly, if you go for the Bhattacharya, you find doorstep delivery, regular fees, margin and commission, quantity discount schemes, credit, local company staff, information and training. All these things coming from Bhattacharya. So a particular source which source will be important as per this kind of list, that can be also identified. But we can reveal so many things, but this kind of reading cannot reveal the clusters. I mean, how we group the determinants, what will be the basis for determining such groups and all that. Okay, so it is basically what we have done is that we have basically undertaken this cat TC analysis uh, to introduce or to give, I mean, analyze the kind of emerging clusters. Okay, one thing is that this is a categorical data, so the sources are basically identified as present and absence. Earlier in Excel sheet, we have done it by 0 and 1, but the SPSS cannot take 0. It is not the fault of anybody. The 0 is a different meaning in SPSS. So instead of 0, we have used 1, 2. 0 and 1, we have used 1, 2. Presence denoted by 1, absence denoted by 2. The number is not a factor, it only appears as a symbol. So that is not an important factor. And we only measure the frequencies, right? So it will not be a big factor over here. So it is a presence, absence, 1, 0, and we are basically analyzing it by the SPSS version 21. I am taking a very small break of 3 minutes and returning back. Please be with me. Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the first SPSS datasheet. You know, in SPSS there is two view. One is the data view and one is the variable view. So what I am presenting is the variable view. The lower portion will be visible in the next slide. So there, all these variables, doorstep delivery, regular visits and services, these 14 variables, they have been incorporated in the name. Then because the name is very short, the level is also short. Usually, what we do in case of the name for other kind of questionnaire or instrument, we basically generate a code for each item and put the code over here. And yeah, and because if the item is in the form of a statement fitted with a say like a semantic differentiation scale, say like a scale, it is given in the label. Whole question is given in the label, right? Type, it is of course numeric because I mean SPSS will not take anything otherwise. Width, you know, that is width is the left side, that is the original number part, integer part, and then it is a decimal part. Because it is only 1 and 2, so width is only 1 because it will range from 1 to 9. If it crosses 9, then the width will become 10, 11, up to 99 it will be width 2. And if it is up to 999, the width will become 3, like this. And so is the decimal. So is the decimal. There is no decimal question, so the decimal is all zeros. In the values, when we will click, a window will appear actually, where you can put 1 equal to present, 2 equal to absent. You put it that there is no missing variable. The columns, whatever number you give it, basically comes automatically. I have not even changed it. Alignment, where whatever alignment we will make, central or right or left. The measure, I am sorry, because I was in a hurry. I have not changed the measure. The measure will be nominal actually. It is not an ordinal measure. There is no order over here. It is a nominal measure, but it will not affect our analysis, however. So this is how we prepare the variable view. Now we will go to the data view, which will be a blank. In data view, looking at our sheet, Excel sheet, you can directly copy paste the Excel sheet over here, no issue, or you can check it manually. In our cases, the number of total number of variables as well as the respondents. I mean, it is not respondents actually. It is basically the sources. They are limited. So we have not taken any chances of copies and pasting. I have just basically checked it and put 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It is a little bit tiring and time consuming, but it is worthy because there is no question of mistakes or anything. In case of copy paste also there is not, but okay. However, so this is the 18 sources, and this is another 19 to 33 is basically on the lower slide. For the technical reason, the whole thing is not visible, because if I put it over 33 over here, it will be very small. So you see, doorstep delivery 2 means absent, 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 absent. Only banking support was present in the past. Okay. Similarly, in case of the second source, absent, absent, present, present, like this. Okay. This is how I have prepared the data sheet. So once my variable view and the data sheet is basically totally prepared, then I will go for the analyze. So we will go in this column, analyze. In the next slide, let us see. We have come to the analyze part. We will directly, when this drop down list will come, we will go to the dimension reduction. In dimension reduction, there will be 3: factor analysis, correspondence analysis, and optimal scaling. We will use the optimal scaling technique. Categorical principal component analysis, or CAT-PCA, comes under optimal scaling. So we will click optimal scaling. Once we click optimal scaling, the next window will come as this. Okay. You have to first select some variables. This is the basic, hypothesis. Whenever SPSS undertake any analysis, there is always the hypothesis taken. Null hypothesis taken and alternate hypothesis also taken. That is why when you will generate the output, you will find that for under each table, the significance level is always given, because the hypothesis has been taken. Okay, so our hypothesis is basically some variables are not multiple nominal. That is for the sake of the operation only. that's the variables may not be multiple nominal or maybe multiple nominal. The number set of variables only one set, and automatically two things will be disabled, and categorical principal component analysis. This is the condition of categorical principle of analysis that will emerge, and you will click categorical principal component analysis as defined. Okay, so once you click categorical principal or component analysis as defined, then we will get this. All these variables, doorstep delivery, discount, regular things will come in this left column. Okay, you have to select all of these. This arrow will be like this in the beginning. Once you click the arrow, all the variables will be imported from this blank column to the analysis variables column, right? And along with that, you have all these things. This data is missing options, missing values. We don't have any because it has been done very carefully, so there is no missing values. Output, how we'll generate it, and everything. There is no supplementary variables. There is no leveling variables. It is important how many dimensions you want for these solutions. We have basically in this, analysis, we basically assume that there will be two dimensions. Dimensions means clusters. It can be, on the basis of the criteria that will be selected by CAT-PCA itself. These, these particular variables, okay, these variables can be put in the two-dimensional Cartesian network system, X and Y axis. How? We will see the graph. So this is the first output, principal very principal normalizations with object scores 1 to 30 for one case number 1 to 33 under two dimensions. These are the object scores. These object scores also signify the weightage of the each variable in case of this each number. For example, under dimension, a categorical principal component analysis by instruction has basically developed two dimensions. Under two dimensions, the object score of the first variable is basically, in case of the case number 1, is basically 0.557, 1.008. In case of the case number 2, it is 1.613 and minus 0.655, like this. And this is the object points. 33 cases on the basis of two dimensions, right, has been loaded like this, taken a load like this. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Okay, over here, these points have overlapped actually. It is 3, this is 13, this is 7, 3, this is 4, this is 5, like this. Let us explain some. If you look at case number 22, case number 22 has a low score on dimension 1 as well as in dimension 2. Let us go back to case number 22. Case number 22, low score dimension 2. Let us take case number 30. In case of case number 30, it is a moderate score in case of dimension 1, very low score in case of dimension 2. Let us go back. Case number 30, moderate in case of dimension 1 and very low. In fact, I think it is the lowest in case of the dimension. Let us take case number 29, moderate in case of, not moderate, just low in case of dimension 2, but pretty high in case of dimension 1. 29, pretty high in case of dimension 1, low, just low in case of dimension 2. Take 20, borderline of low in dimension 2 and high, pretty high in dimension 1. And if you look at this, in case of dimension 2, like in case of dimension 1, there are lots of high scores. But in case of, I mean, it has ranged to 1 to some case 15 to 20 to 29, 20. They are even crossed the value 1. But if you look at only a handful of you has basically crossed the high value of dimension 2. That means dimension 2 is actually a low scoring value. Okay. So once we look at these clusters, let us have the variables component loadings, okay, as an output, SPSS output from the same principal component analysis, and this is the crux of our analysis. Okay, so we have all these variables: doorstep delivery, regular service, high quality products, discounts, margin and commission, brand is eliminated, quantity discount schemes, credit, local distributor, high demand for products and brands. So you will find with the score of 0.790 and 0.817 doorstep delivery and regular service, they form a typical cluster. So these two are related. And all these two, we can say the supply related dimensions. You see, the doorstep delivery is basically related to supply. Once I know what is the doorstep delivery, the doorstep delivery in case of areas are very important. For a small rural retailer who may basically find out, I mean, 5 kg or 10 kgs of atta, or say some 5 liters of mustard oil, like this amount, it is not possible for him to go to the city and come back with all these articles, which will cause, which will basically produces a huge amount of transport cost. Accordingly, this transport cost has to be added with the price of that particular product, MRP of this particular product, and to give it to the rural people. It is not easy for him. But if the companies which has got a larger infrastructure, and when its van will enter in the village, it will not to the single village, but will address most of the villages in the particular area, which may be situated 1 kilometer apart, and will basically deliver to all the rural retailers of those particular geographical region. For them, it is not a cost anymore. So, of course, the rural retailers will go for the doorstep deliveries. So, this doorstep delivery service becomes very important for them. As a result, the regular service, because this rural retailer cannot store huge amount, and in most of the time, the rural consumers, I mean, like the urban consumers, will not go for the whole packet thing. I mean, in urban area, we used to go to the shop and purchase a 5 kg or 10 kg of packet of rice or atta and store it at our home. In rural areas, things are not like that. They will go for a very, I mean, say 200 grams of kind of articles of particular thing. They will come with a very small cup and produce it to the particular rural retailer. They will just please fill up this cup with oil. And the rural retailer has to charge accordingly, opening up the 1 liter bottle of mustard oil maybe. Right. So you see, they cannot store huge amount, number one. Number two is that once they store that quantity becomes too much perishable. Its shelf life becomes very short because it has already been opened. Once you open a seal, naturally its shelf life becomes lesser. So the frequent and regular service, the frequency interval of the services becomes very important to the rural retailer. And that is also related to the supply. So doorstep delivery automatically, I mean, I am giving a physical explanation, but categorical principle of component analysis automatically picked up this doorstep delivery and regular service and clustered into one particular group in dimension 1. Right? So go to the next things: high quality products, discounts, margin and commission, quantity discount schemes. Okay, all three have basically, all four have basically taken load in dimension 2. 0.581, 0.680, 0.568, 0.778, right? In between, they have left the brand altogether. Brand is completely rejected, having very low scores in both in dimension 1 and dimension 2. Interesting part is this: apart from these high quality products, if you look at the attributes, all these attributes are basically pointing out towards the economic benefit. Discount, of course, discount may be monetary discount as well as quantity discount. And in case of the business person, individuals or the retailers, it is mostly the quantity discount. For example, if a retailer take 5 kgs of atta, we will have an additional 500 grams of atta. That means in the price of 5 kg, he can avail 5.5 kg. It is a quantity discount actually. Okay, or suppose if a person stores 10 1-liter bottle of Fortune Kachigani mustard oil, he will get 2 bottles free. It is a quantity discount. But to the rural retailer, it is actually an economic discount, because at the same price, instead of 10 liters of Kachigani oil, he is basically selling 12 liters. Right? So discount is a very important economic factor. Same is with margin and commission. Commission is directly commission is directly a quantity, monetary discount. Like this, if you basically sell 5 liters of oil, you have a 20% commission. If you sell in the same year 10 liters of oil, you have 30% of commission. Right? Very lucrative. So it is a direct incentive to the rural retailer push this particular product. Now you see, company A comes with a particular commission scheme. Company B does not have any commission scheme. They are basically offering, they are selling same price, and the margin on over that is also same. In that case, the rural retailer will go for that particular commission scheme with an assumption that maybe I can sell more. If I cannot sell more, I don't have any loss. But if I can sell more, I have a profit of some amount. Commission has got a very important case. Margin is very evident. Margin is the percentage of gain with respect to the MRP, maximum retail price. So even the company can have a different variable rate of margins and all that. Quantity discount schemes is already related to the discount I have explained. But because in case of the literature, discounts and the quantity discount schemes, they have basically emerged as separate sources. That is why we have also put it over separate. But when actual empirical study has been undertaken, these discounts and the quantity discount schemes, they have been merged together. Although one is quantity, another is of money, but in reality, in real life, at the end of the day, both is interpreted as the economic benefit to the rural retailer, and that also emerged from this study only. So apart from this tree, for some reason, although it was very difficult, or maybe it is a product related attribute, that is why high quality products has basically taken high scores along with all these three, and quality of the products, discounts, margin and commission, and quantity discount schemes together form the second important cluster for the particular variables. So all these variables will be treated as a same cluster, like doorstep delivery and the regular service will be treated as one cluster. Credit has been taken loading in dimension 2. Okay, so this is a separate and isolated component altogether. It has taken a moderate load, but of course credit is very important. Again, for the rural retailers, it is very important, because you know the money flow in the rural areas are always seasonal in nature. Rural areas predominantly depend on the agricultural economy. In India, agriculture is a seasonal factor, although lots of irrigations and the other schemes has been taken. Even in case the farmers are given lots of kind of other benefits in terms of seeds, technology, all that things, water, shallow pumps, etc. But at the end of the day, Indian agriculture is good when you have a good monsoon, Indian agriculture is bad when you have a bad monsoon. As a result, Indian agriculture is seasonal. And the crops that are basically sown, they are seasonal in nature. Even you will find that we have several varieties of rice or paddy, and that cycles around the season, across the season. So when the seeds are sown, farmers are working in the agriculture, I mean fields. The money flow is not good at the villages. The money flow starts with the harvesting. During this period, it is the rural retailer who consistently supplies these farmers or the agricultural workers in credit, because he knows that they cannot pay the money now. All these monies are paid back when harvesting starts. So already the rural retailer runs his or her business on credit. Naturally, he expects the same duration or the same pattern of the credit from the companies. If the companies regularly demand money against the goods they are supplying, then the rural retailer will not prefer them because the money is not available with him also. The money cycle is poor. So they will expect the companies will also ask for the money during the harvesting season. So credit appears as a very important factor. Local distributor, I have already basically explained it with an example that we have found during our agricultural survey, empirical survey. So local distributor is always an important factor, particularly in a region like India, where provincialism is very strong, right? A Bengali rural retailer will seldom prefer a Tamil distributor or a Punjabi distributor. At the same time, a Jat rural retailer will hardly like a Odia distributor or a Bengali distributor. Whether you like it or not, that is very true at the lower level of the economic cycle. Okay, and even if as a customers I am telling you, suppose you are going to a rickshaw stand, you find there are two rickshawalas, one is a Japanese rickshawala and another is an Indian rickshawala. You will wonder what this Japanese rickshawala is doing here, why, and then you will basically prefer the Indian rickshawala. This kind of basically regionalism basically is embedded in our psyche. So naturally, these things always appears, and at the lower level have basically taken a moderate load with the dimension 2. High demands of products and brands means the customers also nowadays have become very aware. Look, up to 90s or even at the beginning of the millennium, the communication at the media communication at the rural areas, more precisely, were basically governed by the television or radio in some cases. And where the products were not visible in radio, it was only attributes that has been stated, and of course with exaggeration, like Moltova Khele Shakti Bare, I am a compliant boy, Dekho Ami Barchi Mami, like this. Look, Mami, I am growing. But with the advent of television came the visual stimuli. These visual stimuli are often very attractive. So you don't know what is inside the shampoo sachet packet. But if the packet getup is very attractive, you will definitely purchase one because both cost you rupees too. But along with came the mobile phone where you also can know about the actual product attributes, right? So while choosing a particular mustard oil brand, by influenced by the television ad, you can also choose, okay, to search in the Google top 10 mustard oil brands in terms of quality, and you will definitely get 2 or 3 survey reports where why their quality is good and what are the attributes, what kind of impurities that has been found, even that was been given in that study. I agree most of the villagers are not that aware to go for these, but some are always. And there is also a word to mouth effect. And there is also the influence of the advertisements itself. So with respect to that, customers or the consumers they also started placing further demands like, Kaka, do you have this? Do you have this brand in your Sunsilk brand shampoo in your shop? No, no, no. I have Clinic. Take this. Clinic is a very good brand. Even in 80s, these rural retailers were the opinion formers. They used to form the opinions for the rural villagers. This is the thing that is basically going in the city market. You know, you do take it, and the villagers are influenced. But nowadays, thanks to the advertisements and the other awareness programs, those particular person will say, "No, I will take the Sunsilk only. Why don't you? Why don't you stock Sunsilk?" It is not about a one single customer. If most of the customers come and demand about a particular brand, then the rural retailer go for it. Maybe the discount is not that high. Maybe the margin and commission is low. Maybe doorstep delivery is not available. Still, it is the high customer demand. That is why we think high demand for products and brands are basically taken a moderate loading and dimension too. Okay, this is the basically crux of the information that we have brought out actually from our categorical principle component analysis. Along with that, we thought that how the priorities, have changed. It is nothing to do with SPSS. It is temporal analysis of the data that has been basically, it is only a visual representation actually. How it has moved from over a period of time. For that, we make a simple temporal movement, right? 11 sources listed from 70 to 94, and 10 sources listed from 95 to 12, and 14 sources listed, 12 sources listed from 11 to 24. So, which there are certain sources, I mean variables, that were basically present in all these, I mean, all these periods, right? First, we'll see how they have changed, how their priorities have changed. For example, regular and frequent service with frequency 6 stands at rank 2, priority rank 2, during the period 73 and 94. During the period 95 and 2010, it shifted to 4 and frequency 3. In one of the particular sessions, some person asked me, what may be the reason? Okay, our type of analysis seldom can explain reason. From my observation, right, my idea is that if you look at this period, there was a sudden increase in the road infrastructure with Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Jayona, with the Golden Quadrilateral and all that. Okay, so because this basically improvement, the demand for the regular and frequent service, I mean frequent service or the regular service became so obvious that it basically ceased to be an important factor in extant literature. On the contrary, during think about the 73, going to a village was basically a fight for everyone, even for the villagers. Most of the villages, remote villages, you have to walk the last 1 kilometer or something. So how a company matador, I mean, will enter? I can remember up to 80s, ITC used to sell their products in UPs by auction carts. Right? Okay, so naturally, this became that at that time it was a very one of the important factors. Again, 11 to 14, there was not much change, but the variety of the products increased. Right? As a result, suddenly the significance of the regular and the frequent service again increased and procured rank number 1 in this period. Okay. Another thing is that rural retailers also became very aware. And their capital also increased considerably. For that, instead of going for the vertical expansion, that means loading the same kind of thing in a larger quantity, they can go for the horizontal expansion. That is the variety of the products because the consumers are more aware. So frequent service becomes more essential. Same pattern has been followed for the doorstep delivery. That means service-related factors you see. Rank number 1 with frequency 7. Rank number 6 with frequency 2 only. That means service-related factors itself probably during the period 95 to 9010. Our cluster was showing that these two are the service factors. And again it emerged at rank number 2 at doorstep delivery at with frequency 6. Okay. Information and training need. Product information and training need, although it is very interesting, it has not taken a high dimension neither at dimension 1 or neither at dimension 2. But information and training need is very important in case of the most of the products, particularly the new innovative products for the rural retailers. I can tell you a story, a very small story, and it is a true story actually. It is a story related to the Brylcreem. Okay, Brylcreem is a hair cream that or hair gel that is applied on the hair for its, particular to retain the particular hairstyle for a long period of time throughout the day and make a little bit sheen of the hair. Okay, the cream uses very harmless kind of ingredients. Even if it is consumed, it does not create a lot of problem for human body. So essentially, this Brylcreem used to look like a brown colored like gel and has a resemblance with a particular product which is not very popular in our country. Recently, it is becoming popular. It is called nut butter. The butter generated from the peanuts, right? Not actual butter. Brylcreem company basically tried to launch this product for the African subcontinent. Some particular most of the Africa is very poor countries. Some countries are better than the other, like South Africa, the countries. So they try to launch the product in these countries. Initially, they entered with a conceptual, like introduction act. Brylcreem is coming. Throughout the countries, big billboards were basically raised in the high road, the cities. Brylcreem is coming. No introduction to what is a Brylcreem, etc. and etc. At that time, Google and internet service was not available, so people didn't have any source in the countries of Africa to know what is a Brylcreem. And with this initial campaign, they just test launched in some selected markets this particular product called Brylcreem. And Brylcreem was sold like hotcakes, failing any kind of marketing survey that has been undertaken in Africa by Brylcreem. The company was astonished. So what is happening? We have not expected this kind of response from the consumers. So then launched the next series of campaigns. Brylcreem is good for health. Use Brylcreem to keep your hair in place. Next, to the next month, next 2 months, the Brylcreem sale started dropping very sharply and immediately went back almost to zero, and it never revived. Company was puzzled. They put a team inside those countries for taking verbal reports. What they found is quite astonishing. Brylcreem, as it has got the texture of the peanut butter, and Africans used to have that taste in their taste bud and they like that taste, they started purchasing Brylcreem without knowing that it is not a cream that is to be consumed with food, but it is a cream that is to be applied on head. Once the actual ad of the Brylcreem came with that it is a thing for head only, not for stomach, they stopped using it. Misrepresentation of information can cause this. There are a large number of products, even basically available in Indian markets. Long time ago, in order to be to cure us from the mosquitoes, we have this product called coils, the Chua Chap coils. One of the most detrimental and harmful products, the particular smoke that is emitted from these coils are typically carcinogenic. Rather, these good nights and other things are basically less. harmful. People used it like in rural areas while they are sleeping in chaupas. A particular kachua chap was basically burning just below their bed. That means with each inhaling of air, they were consuming that poison directly inside their lungs. Because there was no information, because there was no available training. How to use a particular product all sometimes require a training, and in case of the rural areas, that emerges as more important because most of the people don't watch television that minutely, or may not understand the language over there. Okay, margin and commission we have already discussed, and so the others. Let us look at the sum of these product things below, where like high products and brands, we have not traced them on the periods 95 to 10 and 2011. In both the cases, they are ranked very low, 10 and 12, but there is no basis of the ranking actually because their frequency appeared as 0. But in case of the 73 and 94, products and brands was very important, frequency 2, and the rank was become 5. Not very important, but moderately important. So is the viability, viability which was very insignificant, that is with 0 in case of the third period, that is a recent period, but has a frequency with a frequency 2, it was ranked 6, and with a frequency 1, it ranked 8 during the other two periods. So some of them are there who was not there emerged suddenly. That is why we have, although the total number of variables are 14, but you will not have the 14 variables in neither of the periods because you will find either 2 or 3. In case of the second period, 4 are missing. Okay, brand does not have any significance during the local brands, local company stocks.
Sorry sir.
Yes, hello.
বলছি যে আপনি কোন স্লাইডটা দেখাচ্ছেন মামা, মনে হচ্ছে আপনার স্লাইডটা একটু দাঁড়িয়ে
স্লাইড দেখাচ্ছে না।
আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি অ্যানালিসিস অফ টেম্পোরাল মুভমেন্ট,
সেটাই তো দেখাচ্ছি।
ওকে,
সেটাই দেখাচ্ছি। The thing I am showing at the below this you see the period rank. I am stating the rank, I am stating the frequency, the periods are mentioned over here, and I am basically discussing attributes one by one. Primarily, I have discussed regular and frequent service, that is rank 2, frequency 6, number 1. Then doorstep delivery, that was rank 1, frequency 7, the first period, rank 6, frequency 2 in the second period, and rank 2, frequency 6 in the third period. Now you understand? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes sir.
Oh, so just can you explain me where I became ambiguous? That means I have not been understood. If any one of the participant can tell me that what is the problem with understanding, then I will go back over there and explain it again. Hello? So may I come back to our discussion because it appears there is no question.
Sure sir, please.
Okay, so what I was discussing is that in this temporal movement, we have basically shown how the importance of the variables or the determinants have changed over a period, right? Now, let us take any period, arbitrary, any variable arbitrary from between the middle. Let us take the local distributor. Okay, this local distributor has ranked 8 with the frequency 1 during the period 1973 to 74, right? Again, in 95 to 2010, the local distributor has not been mentioned even in any literature. During this period, the 10 sources we have, 1995 to 2010, we have 10 sources of literature. None of this literature has basically mentioned the importance of the local distributor. So it has not emerged as a determinant or variable in the literature. And it ranked 10 because there were 10 basically sources. So it ranked 10 in this particular. Again, in 12 sources, 2 of the sources between 11 and 14 basically mentioned rural local distributor, and it returned back with rank 9. This is how this local distributor variable and its importance in research literature has changed from 1973 to 2040. That is the importance of the movement. Okay. Again, you see a very interesting. I want to show. Kind of change in ranking. See, products and brands. Products and brands. Rank number 5 with frequency 2 in the period 1973 and 94. It basically constitutes of 11 sources, and out of these 11 literature, only 2 mention products and brands, and it ranked 5. Move to the next period. None of these sources, that is 95 to 2010 sources, have mentioned products and brands, and it ranked 10. And move back to 2011 and 14. Again, none of the 12 sources have mentioned products and brands, and it ranked 12. So if you from 70 to 2014 move, products and brands doesn't have any kind of serious significance to the rural retailers. I am not talking about consumers, don't confuse it. Okay. So for rural retailers, what kind of product, what kind of brands you are basically selling, that basically comes later. And that was perhaps the reason that despite of the tremendous dominance of Hindustan Unilever with its hallmark products like Surf Excel and Surf and at that time there was no Excel, Sunlight, Nirma washing powder made an inroad, and primarily through the Indian rural market. It didn't have any brand value. All it ensured was the frequent service, doorstep delivery, high credit, and high margin and commission. Maybe high discount also, I don't know. That I have not come across actually. Come back to another kind of thing in the middle, margin and commission. Margin and commission with frequency 3 out of 11 in the first period ranked 3. During the middle period 95 to 2010, out of 10 sources, margin and commission has a frequency of 5, right? And emerged with rank 1. It became the first. Number 1. Margin and commission during this period became very important. Again, with a frequency 3, 12 sources, 2011 to 14. So, margin and commission undertook the 5th rank. So each individually, what I want to say is that, so this temporal movement, the movement of the importance of each variable in the literature can be identified over here. And if you look at the picture holistically, I will find another interesting thing. There is a considerable similarity in the pattern in the period 73 to 94 and in the period 2011 and 14. But the middle period, 95 to 2010, which includes the two most important part of hallmark. One is the implementation of the new economic policy in India. Second half, the first half, definitely it was implemented in 91, and we started getting the effect from 94, 5 onwards, like, right? And the impact of the millennium, right? That is 2000 onwards, and that is not due to any policy, but due to a quantum change in technology. This particular period is 95 to 2010 is basically a bridging period, which is considerably different from the period 73 to 94, as well as the period 2011 to 24. 14. That is interesting. Okay, so this temporal movement also shows you a lot of derives you a lot of information along with the Cartesian analysis. So these are the things I have already discussed. The need for information and training on new products and their selling techniques seem to maintain the same significance throughout the study period. The need for discounts have maintained almost as uniform ranking to the period of the study. There is also a relative stability for the need and frequent service. Along with this, I have discussed other variables also that you can find, anything you can find from this temporal analysis actually. Okay. This is the studies basically what we have basically used for, I say, the content analysis of nothing new. The most important paper that was on my subject, actually my primary subject is organizational climate and culture, and my thesis is also on the climate and culture basically. Though these sample studies have been used for the analysis of Barbacke, Wolvering and Hessels. Okay. And then I have this study of the Gross and Sheet on the Journal of Marketing, on content analysis of United States Magazine, and then the content analysis of the consumer research in the Journal of Consumer Research over here. We have this future of the implication studies. What we have done over here is not just for the sake of teaching, right? Actually, this is the extract from two papers. One paper has been published in Vikalpa, that is the Journal of the Magazine of Indian Institute of Management. In fact, the particular thing that I have extracted is basically from this particular journal of this particular paper Vikalpa. So this is this. Is it visible? The PDF document is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You see, purchase preference factor of traditional rural retailers. It has been already published in Sage in 2016 actually. So in this paper, we have used the method of the content analysis. I will directly go into the method without going into the results analysis, where you can see it is just for the documentation purpose only, however. And it is, I think it is most likely will be open source, so you can find it also in the internet. This is the, you have seen this particular slide, sources. Okay, so this is the extract. This is the categories that has been identified, and the same kind of analysis, whatever you have seen in the PPT, that kind of this analysis has already been explained to you. The temporal analysis has been added later, and of course, temporal analysis is not the part of the CAT-PCA. It is a analysis that can be done manually. While you are basically developing the arranged data source for the CAT-PCA. That's all. Okay. Another paper we have published on the Journal of Rural Studies, that is also based on the CAT-PCA. Okay, I am not going to bore you with this kind of thing. So now I will have a small session reserved for questioning. So if you have any questions, you may ask.